I think I got everything in time, which is kind of crazy, to be honest. Didn't think that would happen, but yeah, it happened. Goddamn. I hope you're good. I hope your week was good. Cybersect, good morning, good time zone, good everything. How's you? I pressed the wrong button. My bad. I mean, I didn't press a button. That's what happened. Oh, everything is wrong today. Nothing worked. I didn't. The thing that I tried to build didn't. And yeah, that was fun, I guess. I guess my hair is so flat, like flatter than on Wednesday for the same reason as Wednesday, because I straightened them on Wednesday and now it's just like, god damn. But it was gradients in Blender. That's pretty cool. Gradients are really easy to do in Blender, at least for me. Are you using nodes for gradients? I mean, you probably have. You need a color ramp basically to get your gradient working. So if that's what you're trying to achieve, it's pretty simple. Why are you fighting? That's that. That's the question. Why? Why the fighting? Why the fighting? Oh, you could get a node to position it relative to an axis on the object or the scene or something that is relative to the camera. That's an option for you. If I remember correctly, you can decide that you have a node before the gradient itself, before your color ramp, that define what it's plugged to or what is the effector, and you should be able to link them together. I think that could be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, congrats on using Blender. Blender is really cool. We have something to review today, which is similar to Blender. We talked about it before, but yeah, this Spline has launched Hana, I guess that's how it's pronounced, and Hana is basically the ability to create flat design stuff inside of Spline itself. So instead of doing like a 3D element right here, I can say I want to create a 2D design. So that's going to be the first review, first time I'm seeing it. And it's a similar interface to Figma, as far as I understand, and it has the same properties as Figma. So I want to create a frame. I'm going to create a frame. In said frame, I could have an element like right here, and said element could have something like, I don't know, an event-based activity. So not on like on start could happen, but instead of having like a transition, we could have something that's a bit different. Or maybe we could have like a mouse follow, which is the usual thing, and we follow the cursor from wherever it is, and like that's no speed, no whatever, everything works. There is no dampening. We're good with that, which basically means that if I take this and I duplicate it multiple times, when I start, I should have the element like basically follow, which is pretty impressive. But then if I select this thing, I don't know if I can select all of them instead of saying like follow, but say look at, through the y-axis. I'm then getting each and every one of these to just look at the cursor itself. And in 2 clicks, I created most of like the newer background effect that we see on most of the latest like landing pages. And I feel like this is gonna be extremely effective for a ton of things. Like you could have your follow on something that would basically take over your cursor. So let's say that this is your cursor and you want it to be red, and that thing is going to have an event. The event is going to be mouse follow. And now every time that I'm moving, my cursor has something. So cursor override without really being overridden is an option. And then you have look at. But again, like I've been live for what, 3 minutes? 4 minutes, basically. And we already have a working thing inside of this new version of Spline. So this is really, really cool, at least from my point of view. It's going to add a ton of layers of complexity to like anyone's design and anyone's landing pages, I would say. But also, like, this whole thing is going to be really, really cool. As soon as you understand how the event works, like there is plenty of them. The regular ones, and we talked about them before, you have the mouse down, mouse up, which is basically when you click or like, click release. Mouse press, which is like while pressing, basically. Mouse hover, which is the regular thing for buttons. Key down when you're pressing a very specific key. Up, press for that. And then follow and look at, which is the two that we just used. These then can work with transitions, but they can also work with other things. So in order to have a transition, you need to have state enabled. We talked about this when we did the spline review about a year and a half ago, I think. But I could say that maybe I can have like an event. So state right now is state number 2, and base state is this. So maybe on state number 2, we have the thing that is bigger. So state number 1, state number 2, right? Base state, state. So far, so good. And then on start, not do that, but maybe let's say on mouse press, I'm getting a transition from base state to state, right? That kind of makes a lot of sense. So now that means that if I click, the red circle is taking over. So if I'm right here and I'm pressing, it's kind of the same concept. It's a bit of a click and hold to get the transitions through, because I didn't really create like the direction. But again, like this took, I don't know, 5 seconds. So if this was like a 0.2, which is like 0.2 seconds for the transition, that would give us the same effect. So, you know, like again, really, really cool, really simple. It works on everything. So if you, I mean, on everything, it works on everything that is selected. So you could have like a ton of other things. It's really flat, and I feel like it's a considerable or considerably simpler element to learn compared to Rive. It's really not the same, but the event-based situations is kind of similar, as in, as long as you have something that just works, it will work. Like, you could define that something is changing shapes when you click, when you press a very specific key, that it moves in a very specific direction. All of that could be added. So, you know, good stuff, at least. Again, from my point of view, good stuff. So that's new. If you're learning Blender, side effect, going back to the initial trigger of that discussion, you should be pretty good in learning Spline, and because it's simpler. And for the flat version of what they are creating, I feel like it's pretty nice. Hi again. 50. That is neat confettis. God damn. Welcome back. How are you? How's everything? That took me what, 10 minutes to do the spline review. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, this thing is camera coordinate works better. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. It's really, I mean, again, this is why I don't trust myself, but potentially why I have an ego. You know, like the dual thing. I learn so much in such a small amount of time when I'm interested in a topic. And the thing that I learn stay with me for so long that I had the ability right now to give you a direction, something that could work in what I remembered from Blender use case in 2020, 2021, and it worked, kinda. So that boosted my ego, but I haven't touched Blender in like 4 years. And that's bad for the ego again, because I'm like, so I know stuff, yes, and I'm giving you the right direction. Why do I remember this? I don't know, but I still do. So you know, good. Um, the thing that I sent you, Kat, is basically just the slides. It's shit. I hate it. It looks bad. It's very rudimentary. Uh, you know, not good. I'm also thinking again, based on this super specific thing, the fact that it's supposed to be like 4 hours. I'm debating. Like I don't know. I The content is nothing. That's the thing. Like the content is really bad, really really bad. I don't like it. I will have to work on it much longer. Nonetheless, what I was about to say, because it's supposed to be 4 hours of work, and I didn't really work for 4 hours on it specifically. Like I probably have put on an hour and a half in total into like the presentation itself. So that's a thing. That's a thing, at least from my point of view, that I will take more time. But also because it's supposed to be a presentation, I think it would be better to get like uh, something more realistic than what I have right now. So maybe something like a 6 slides um, with more research explanation rather than something else. We'll see. It will depend. It will depend. I don't have any information about the thing. I don't know if the meeting is going to happen next week or not. I didn't have like a confirmation email, which is sad, but that's what's happening. So we good. I wanted to do some updates on this, um, and I did, and then I once again fully reverted because it just didn't work. The current issue that we have is the coins. I talked about that on Wednesday. The coins right here are, or used to be, kind of like the syncing system in between devices gives the user the ability to uninstall the app from one device and then reinstall it on the same device and get 100 coins plus 4 coins, which is the first install bonuses. And that gets, or used to get, added to CloudKit. And so that's just a transaction. It's just like, well, this is the bonus, so that's given by default. And then that user could like uninstall the app, reinstall the app, get 100 coins and 4 coins again as the first install bonus, and so on. And that's basically what happened. I had like 400 coins, and in 15 minutes, I went up to 12,000 coins, and then I basically scrapped my own profile on CloudKit to ensure that I had the right amount of coins that I needed to have, but also like I'm the owner, so I don't really give a shit. But that's bad. That is bad. So I needed to work on that, and I had to fully revert because it just doesn't make sense. it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's really weird. The thing that I tried to do was implement a sort of financial system of transaction system. So if I use coins in whatever thing, like right here, I'm using 2 coins to use a joker, for example, that's a -2, and that's automatically synced with iCloud. So now I know that I have like 2 coins less than I had earlier. That's synced. That's all. That's done. And then if I do a full quiz and I don't make a mistake, I'm getting coins as a reward. So I'm getting something up. So I'm getting an addition in my balance. But because of that system, if you uninstall and reinstall an app, you basically reset the amount of coin that you had because the system was like, oh, that's a new device. It has 0 coins. Therefore, it has 104, which is the default. And then it checked after it's launched that, oh, that person might have a CloudKid related profile synced thingy. Therefore, they checked and that either put the 104 to CloudKit, fully overriding everything, or saying, oh, there is 104 more than what it should have, so we'll just send that and add that as a transaction positive. It doesn't work, so I reverted. Yeah, I need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. It's the only thing that is not syncing, which is really sad. But everything else here is working. The progress across dictionaries, characters, and that's it. And quizzes, basically. Like longest streak, current streak is propagating across devices, which is really good. But it's just the coins. The coins is the last thing. And I need that before next week. Because as I said, I want to release this thing with CloudKit Sync before May or beginning of May. So I need this to work next week, basically, to ensure that it just works. But god dang, is it annoying? Nonetheless, that happens. And it's working, which is a good start. It is a good start. That, that is what we'll say. Good start it is. Good start. But god dang, annoying. Annoying. Anyways. On another note, I have continued, because I know we haven't really talked about this product in 3 months. It feels like it. Not really, but like at least 2. I've continued to add like some places and things to take a look at. But it still doesn't work for me. Like there is a ton of things that needs to just work that just don't. And it's bad. This system still works, like the navigation still works, which is what we do like. But overall, it's kind of bad. So you know, like that didn't work, shouldn't have happened. Like it shouldn't be so far. Nonetheless, details and stuff. This is pretty good as a concept, but it's not good as an app as of right now. So, um, yeah. I think also, Kat, I don't know if you want to take a look. The comments that you would potentially put on that file would be appreciated, yes, 100%. However, the main thing that I feel like I need, because it's supposed to be a formal presentation, case study-ish type of thing, I don't really know my script. Like I basically need to know my script and what needs to happen. Like I know most of the concept, and not most, all of the concept that I'm talking about, but it's just like the flow of things needs to work and the slides needs to help, and that's not the case just yet. It will be the case at some point, but it's not the case just yet. So you know, details, details. Anyways, on the today being an R day and a review day, we have some things. If I can find it really quickly, that's cute. If we can find it quickly, um, where you at? Buttons there. I was on Xiangtu again, as always, and something popped. I mean, not something popped. I kind of looked for it, but I found something, and that something is this. There is one person right there that used can as a reference for navigation, and that was pretty impressive. That was really nice to see. I just saw that on my feed. I was like, oh, maybe there is other people that have talked about the same thing. And that person specifically had done a full basic case studies with like 10 screenshots of everything in the app, which is really good. And then the people that are commenting on it were basically interacting and saying that it was too expensive. So I now have changed the prices. The price on everything is now on for China specifically is way cheaper and not as much as it used to be. Basically, it was like 680 RMB, and now it's like 200 and something. So it's really, really cheap, but it's appropriate and adjusted to the market. So that's really good. But then that person triggered me in looking for other things, and someone else did a bit of a research thingy. It's interesting that they had to do this weird thing, but it kind of works. But yeah, so it's been interesting to see, at least from my point of view, that other people from other platforms, probably in other languages that I don't really know, have talked about Can and have been trying to get other people on it. So that's cool, I guess. That's marketing without doing some marketing. So I need to do more of that and just expand my horizon. Can hi, work on it. Um, yeah, no, I like it, but I don't. I mean, I don't know what you mean by accept it as it is. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about the title of today's stream, or if you're talking about the fact that it is on Chinese uh, social medias. I don't know. But yeah, that's a pretty cool thing to see. I wish I had like other platform. I haven't found it on Instagram, and I haven't found anyone else talking about it on TikTok other than me, which makes sense. And also because Kann, is a German word. There is so much uh, that is triggered by that. Hype, hi, work on it. The app looks pretty cool. I agree. God damn it. I agree. It's nice. It is falling out of my scope of brain thinking, brain power lately. Like it's been kind of hard to add more stuff um, and create more content related to what is supposed to happen in here. So there is like a ton of things that are really good and working. Like right now on the iOS version, I added like some of the accentuated characters, which was needed. But other than that, there hasn't been like a lot that has been done, and I really need to do much more. Like this page is okay, but that's about it. Like it's about okay as it can be. For radicals, this page for kanji is a bit better, but it's not great either. And it's better though. But like all of that there is a lot of work that needs to happen that I can't make happen just yet. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just focused on other things, and I can't spend all of my time in there. Nonetheless, it's now like the parity payment is really good. The fact that it's now like cheaper for um South America, like Brazil, Argentina, all that is cheaper, and now in Asia, Philippines, China, Nepal, other region is now much cheaper. That might help. I don't know. We'll see. Like I mean, might help, not help financially, but help in the discoverability of the app itself. Some of the people that have posted reviews on the App Store, I think, have been asking for the app in Chinese. And I don't know if I can do that. I fear, fear that having Japanese characters and Chinese characters might trigger some type of system because we kind of use the same characters for different things, but the font that is used for Chinese and the font that is used for Japanese is not the same, but it's the same characters. And sometimes it's triggering things. Like, for example, in the N1, these are mostly Chinese characters or Chinese radicals that are ported to Japanese, but not necessarily Japanese. So that's complicated. And also, I talked about that before. I don't know how to read Chinese. Also, we'll see. Why is my computer again out of internet connection? That makes no sense. Makes no sense. Nonetheless, hi Coda, how are you? How was your day? How was your week? How's everything? We have a ton of things to review today on this review day again. Um, that are or have been pretty interesting in terms of thing that popped out. Let me see that here. So I kept this one for the same reason I keep these all the times. Lone Traveler, hi, welcome back. How are you? These are pastel colors, but this one is a bit more vibrant than the usual pastel colors. And because the entire app is a dark mode based thing, when you have something that is connected or selected, you end up with a more vibrant looking selection, which is pretty interesting, but it still remains in the pastel colors are coming back. One of the things that I find really interesting here is that this design specifically is something that I have done 5 years ago for my previous company, and we had the exact same system of timeline and colors for the events and the things. We had a bit of a better navigation at the beginning, but dang. Huh. That yeah, that's a you issue, but it's also a me issue. So yes, it's not on purpose. It's a mistake. And I think the reason for that is because the phone that I have, this one, only has the ability to hide the navigation at the bottom or show it with the full bar in the background. Like the transparent version isn't really a thing, and even if it's transparent, it is counted as the full bar. Therefore, the app recognizes that and bump it up. But that's a good thing. Thank you for pointing it out. I will need to fix that. I will need to fix that. God damn. What phone do you have? Now I want to know so that I can just check it out. Because yeah, that's bad. That's bad. My other phone doesn't have navigation buttons either, so yeah, I can't really see that. Damn. Good to know. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. So yeah, that's pastel coming back, more vibrant, interesting, and that gradient overall was really cool. And then we have this, which kind of is sad because I've been working on the logo that is kind of similar to this, but not entirely, but kind of, but not really, but kind of, and you haven't seen it yet, but you know, kind of. This looks like a meteor shower, like 3 folding shooting star coming from the sky, which is interesting. But it also looks like, to me, it also looked like the Nazgul helmets, you know, of Lord of the Ring, you know, right? Um, it's a weird thing. So that is that navigation at the bottom is some sort of a, this one specifically is some sort of a trim of a very specific line, and then it's absolute positioning and absolute rotation per element, but based on the width of the screen, kind of. But if you have like a very tiny screen, you will have some issues, and if you have a very wide screen, as in an iPad, for example, it will break. So on Android, it is mostly like an absolute positioning thing, which is really bad. On this one, though, it is much better in terms of, let me just highlight it, that you can have a bit of a better contrast ratio with the background. Because it has this rotation option, God damn it, it kind of works like a very true circle, and each of the dots are specific elements that have like mathematically calculated the positioning, and the content is also the same. So this one is a tad bit better overall for navigation and for calculation, but other than that, that's the only one. This one is absolute positioning, and that's not great. That's also one of the reason why it doesn't exist on iPad. The iPad app is just the iPhone app in a small container, which is really bad. But yeah. You have the Poco X5. I think, isn't the X5 the same as, no. I was about to say it's probably the same as the Redmi something, which is probably the case. But yeah, probably the 14, similar, just because it's the same manufacturer, but it should be pretty good nonetheless. Yeah, you know. It's not necessarily for the fingers. It works for the finger, yes, but it's not made for that. That is interesting, yeah. Well, there is no flow. It's the same flow that we had. But yeah, if it doesn't work, I'm guessing it's something that would go through the speech as well, Cat. Getting like me explaining stuff and talking about the storytelling behind all of the slides. Yeah, It's a revised version to ensure that it has like 10 slides tops. Because 15 seems like a lot. So yeah, I changed that. But also they have these bitches. It's the perspective. It is the perspective. Nonetheless. Moving on. I like this thing mainly because it looks the same as what we've done uh, on here, even though you can't really see it. It's the same thing in the center. So right there, the navigation between the two is the same concept when you can like kind of resize the content at the top and bottom and like have a bit of a navigation cut in there, but it has just changed. Um, have fun with LinkedIn. I mean, fun. Thank. But yeah, that's an interesting navigation concept that we have seen popping up a lot since Amy has been existing. And yeah, a dual navigation like this is pretty interesting. So I kind of just wanted to keep it. Um, but yeah, after that, this popped up, which was really cool. There is like a ton of things that I've been seeing like these, which are like presentation videos that I don't know if I'm just old, but they look templated. They look as if you had the ability to decide that this specific rectangle or thing would be a location for an highlight in After Effects or something, and that's all it is. It doesn't feel custom, even though it feels custom, which is why it feels templated. I just wanted to highlight that. I don't know what it is about it that just makes me feels weird, but you know, details. We've been having this as well. So Lovable, which is like another product for AI generation of code, through Figma. I mean, not through Figma, but like using Figma as the base and then just creating something out of it, which they got the cease and desist last week or 2 weeks ago about using something called the dev mode. And Figma was like, no, 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 you can't do that. Which I get because Figma is losing market share because of them. Nonetheless, it's an interesting thing that they now have a multi-cursor ability. So similar to Figma as well, you now have multi-user collaboration inside of the same file, inside of the same code stuff. So if I have someone that knows how to code and me that doesn't, I can generate code and have someone that checks it and ensure that it works. But this is really cool of a concept. It's also very potential output, as in this is probably what's going to happen in Figma's event next month. Basically having the exact same output, but we'll see. It looks much better. And as soon as they have design and not just code, it could take over Figma, just because Figma has been slowly been hated by the design community, which I don't like, but you know, it's what happens when you don't follow good practices. So that's something to keep an eye on. We've also had like a ton of good stuff. This is a really interesting thing to have. It's also something that we talked about before in showcasing sketches rather than anything else in your design process. So having this makes more sense than just showcasing like the grid construction that you had when you finished the logo itself. So that's really cool. And then I like this twice, as I can see. This one was fun for no reason, you know, like just fun. That is debatable. This is mostly for Chris, as always, for buttons that have like glow and shadows and things underneath. This is a dual layer element. So you have the inner layer that's underneath that frosted glass that project and highlight and colored LED thing on the rest of the floor. In order to recreate this inside of code, you basically have a secondary layer right here that takes the exact same gradient as inside, but outside of the button. Again, this is not accessible. It looks okay, but it's not accessible. So if I'm looking at it through the streams on both of my screens, you can't read shit. So this is just a nicely looking presentation of something, but it's not good. Also had this pop up. I don't know if that has been made with AI. I'm guessing probably, but I also don't know. So, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If you worked on something for a specific event at a company and said company reused the same thing, that, you know, that's fine. The fact that it's banned, that's your own biases. It's good enough for them, apparently. So, you know, that could be good. And Gleb had a good question about that button specifically on the fact that it seems that designers are just touching buttons all the times instead of touching anything else. So instead of like thinking about the design process and how to create something that is better for the designers, for the devs, for anything else, it it seems most designers are just creating buttons that looks cool. So I don't know what that means, but it's a good thing to know. And then we saw that on Wednesday. This one was kind of fun for many reasons. So Luke is a French person, sadly, but also I'm fine with this one. This one is really good. And because Grace, hi, welcome on in. They had created a logo, and instead of having a component, they created a font. Be okay, but potentially disappointed with it because it will not give you much. I forgot. But welcome back. I hope you're good. When you say the toolbar in the middle, you are talking about this at the bottom. God damn, Stony, hi, welcome on in. God damn. Welcome back. 150 is a long time. It is a long time. But you don't like this? What I don't like about it is that it's not customizable. I feel like if it was giving me the ability to do something like I was about to say, I don't think Sketch can give me this. Something like this. If I had the ability to do this and say, oh, specifically here, I need the quick look, right? Or whatever tools, which is a native macOS behavior. I would love this. It would be great. Personally speaking, I would put it at the top because it used to be at the top. I get that. But also, when you look at other tools, that are doing like a Figma duplicate, they are at the top. So Miro is at the top. InVision, like freehand, was at the top as well. No, freehand was at the bottom, but that's FigJam, so that's different. And specifically now, if you look at PenPot, um, well, it's at the top. So, I, yeah. I mean, for me, if I'm here and I'm like looking at something and I don't want this to be distracting, I just command slash, and therefore it's not distracting. And I can just work on stuff and be like, yeah, cool. I know that I need like a rectangle around here and so on because I know the shortcut. But I, I get there. I get there. This one is the other option, which doesn't help at all. At least not for me. So I do understand that. I forgot that this is a fucking one single layer button. One layer. Nothing else. Gothic, hi. Welcome in. Welcome back. How are you? Goddamn. Peace. Oh. It looks like I have an empty file. What do you mean paste bin? What do you mean paste bin right there? Can I zoom in on this? Ugh. I didn't read everything. Have you? I mean, you probably haven't. I feel like this is okay based on the 5 lines of text that I read. um, but yeah, I mean, to me, again, to me, it's kind of the same as what I've done here with the Figma bootcamps overall. I have like 2 videos. I have the first one, which is the introduction to what Figma is. The second one, which is like the introduction to the tools, so that's like introduction and things, and it's free. Like you can access it free on YouTube, or you can just have access quickly on Patreon, which is right there. But um, yeah, I do agree that if I was advertising this for non-beginners, that would make no sense. Less sense. Can you send the link again, Stony? If you want me to take a look at your markups. But yeah, nonetheless, the non-traveler, the issue that we have personally with Figma, redesigning Figma, and creating like this floating bar system rather than creating the regular thing that we used to have. I do understand that at some point, some of the designers at Figma wanted to basically have like a bit of a rephrasing or a bit of a reorganizing, to make something fresh, prove that they are working on stuff, the regular. The issue that we probably have most of the time is the issue with this sidebar shouldn't change. I have said that many times. But the appearance of certain element, like right now we are on a frame. Like my appearance here is right there, but it changes if I'm selecting something else. Like it move up and down. Like this one is really down. That makes no sense. And yeah, I don't know. Um, I see. Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate that. The where that goes on the screenshots. Right there. Appreciate it. But yeah, like this navigation thing on the side to change all the time based on what you have selected and doesn't have anything that is locked in place like it used to. This was one of the most frustrating thing. The other thing of this navigation being at the bottom, that's whatever. I don't really give a shit about it. Like it doesn't really bother me. When I'm working on something, I don't pay attention to it, and I'm usually like deep inside of the screen I'm working in to make sure that the details are good. But also, I'm just seeing that's bad. Uh, like it's not much in terms of navigation. The main issue that I have is that rectangle, frame, pen tool, and text. Yes, 100%. That these needs to be there. The comments, because it impact this section of the the Figma UI. Like basically, if I change it, it changes there. I feel like it should be around here. It should be somewhere next to where things are changing for real. The tools and AI related content, um, you know. Oh yeah, go deep inside is pretty good. I appreciate that. I mean, it depends on the day. Sometimes I can't reach. But yeah. But that's really bad. And then the switch that we have from dev mode to not dev mode is one of my most hated features. So if I just zoom in a bit, not much, but a bit. If I'm here and I need a move to dev mode and I don't use the shift D and I just press on the button because I need to see how dev mode works. And I'm like, yeah, that's not exactly what I need to do. Let me click again. If I don't do anything and I just press, the button that I just clicked on is not there anymore. I need to scroll and move to go back there. And I'm like, yeah, I just needed to switch between the two. And then if I'm clicking right in the middle of the tools. So there is a need for 15, 25 pixel of movement that makes no sense. It's just so annoying. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. So I get it. It kind of forces you to learn that Shift D will create something. But like the amount of time that I pressed on something, like for example, let's say I'm here and I'm on a text layer and I forgot to press enter to type something and I want to type I am whatever, So I type Shift I. What does it do? It triggers something. It triggers something right there when I was about to click on the text layer to change the text. So if I'm starting to type something, it makes sense. But right now, what happens is I'm here, I have something selected, I forgot to do anything, and then I type It's as if I was searching, which makes no sense. So there is like a ton of things that needs to happen in Figma organization for the UX and the use cases to make more sense. But yeah, so there's that. That's some of the thing with the shortcuts that they have. Um, and there's other thing that just makes no sense to me. As in, if you have two rectangles, for example, and you select both of them, now you have components and Boolean operation. If you select just one of them, um, now you have component and node and ask. But if you have two, because you have these, and there is no space here to put the third one, no space, right there, no space. It's just a mess. Like the whole changes of component related content. I don't know if I have like a component somewhere here. I probably do. Like this, for example, if I want to revert that component to its, what did I say? Get the fuck out. To its initial state, it's going to be here. But if I wanted to reset something specific, I need to go in and then go into reset and then say I need to reset the fill. When in the past, it was in the center of the screen at the top, and you can just say reset fill. Like you just click on it, reset whatever. Made so much more sense. Like they have changed so much things that, again, don't help the day-to-day design. And I don't know why they have. So, yes, I get you. I don't understand necessarily the bottom navigation. Like that's fine by me. It's okay. It's just similar to other platforms. But mostly like moving features that we were used to in a very specific place, or we were used to have access to quickly, at least, like they were in muscle memory. It's just annoying. It is just annoying. The other thing that I hate is I don't think we would have something here, but if you have like an element that is, come on, bitch, you can do it. An element that is here, and you want to add like a color to it, which is going to be like a vibe. When you click on it, it's directly like selected so that you can type and look for something. Like I'm looking for the accent color, for example. Cool. But then when I'm here, if I click on accent color, I'm still selected, which is good. That works on a single element. But if I'm there with the selection color, it used to not be selected by default. So that's something that they have fixed last month. But before that, it was like unselected. But other than that, if I wanted to create something new and I say, well, this is supposed to be like a new element, like a new variable, it's going to be a variable by default, which makes sense. But if I say that it's a style and I want this thing to be in one of my libraries, it used to be not selected here as well. So that has been fixed, but it took like a year and a half to get them to basically have decent focus on inputs. It's just weird. It's just weird. And yes, I agree with you. It's a lot of extra clicks that didn't need to exist, and now they do. And based on the thing that we saw and showcased last Wednesday, right about here? No? Yes? No? Almost? Right about? Right about here? No? Still no? Right about? There. God damn, that took a while. they are working on the new Figma website thing. That's the first that they have announced. They're also working on this one, which means that as soon as the new auto layout is going to go live, we are losing where these 3, 4 options used to be. So when we're here and we have that auto layout thing that says vertical, horizontal, or wrapping, right? So vertical, horizontal, or wrap. Basically not wrapping, like basically that is wrapping. Apparently wrapping doesn't exist and now it's grid. Right, I don't know about that. And it's not in the same place. Based on this, I'm seeing that the flow of things is now above the resizing, whereas we are used to have the resizing and then the flow of things. That whole system of auto layout here is tightly put together, and it's really nice and it works, and we kind of like it. But it seems something is going to happen that change that again. Yeah, they are officially, supposedly, like working on a new grid auto layout thing, and therefore that's going to change everything again. Like, look at the flow that we can see here. Like flow, which is no auto layout. I guess it's weird. Vertical auto layout, horizontal auto layout, grid related stuff. Then resizing the dimension, which is okay. Alignment and gap. So you have flow. God damn it. You have flow, resizing, alignment, and gap. So gap is this, but alignment is this. So that basically means that we would have that thing on the left side and that thing on the right side, probably followed by padding or margin with the 2 inputs underneath that, which we don't have access to right here. But yeah, that whole thing is just, I don't, again, I don't think, like, yeah, but wrapping is better. Like the current wrapping system is basically flex wrap, which makes sense. Like this is flex column, flex row, flex wrap. So far, so good, right? That makes sense. That like that whole thing is supposed to be flex based, but it's just not the system. Like you are either in flex or you are in grid. You are not in one or the other. So I would personally rather have flex mode, grid mode, absolute mode, which would be like this one potentially, like no auto layout in there. But also, again, I'm coming back to this. I have said that since they introduced auto layout. Auto layout is flex mode when you want to communicate with devs. You want the devs to understand what your auto layout frames work and how it's resizing. It's just flex. It's flex grow, flex shrink, or flex wrap, whatever, all that. That's the communication that we have. Please, for the love of designers and devs, use the same words. Like flex is something that exists in code. It's something that we have talked about with devs for the longest time, and we should just use the same terms because it makes no sense. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, absolute is absolute positioning inside of an auto layout frame. I think this is like free flow. and not a layouted thing, which is kind of weird. But I mean, I don't get it. I'm waiting for config to happen to know like what happens, but the whole system is just debatable. And like nothing seems to be good, and uh, it's just weird. Again, to my initial point, I think Figma just wants to appease the stakeholders that they have and release the thing that the stakeholder are basically requesting. So the stakeholders are going to be the big company that have stakes in the company, hence Apple, Spotify, Google, that are using Figma and not Sketch anymore, and just trying their best. Like, yeah, it's really, I don't, I don't know. The other thing that we don't like is is the amount of stuff that is not disclosed. Like some of the thing that I'm showcasing here on stream most of the time, and people are like, "How does that exist? Why is that not explained?" Like, you know, like for example, if I have this and I have a text layer, and I'm putting that text layer inside of an tutorial frame, it's hugging the content, and as soon as I resize this, this is still in the center. And if you don't know me, you don't know that you can click here, type F, and press enter, and now it's filled. And you wanted this to be hugging, you type H, you press enter, and you have the thing hugging. This is not something that they have talked about. They have this, which is really useful, but it's just never talked about. Yeah, just F for fill and H for hug. And if you really want to type fixed, you can say fixed. And then you press enter, it's set to fixed. But yeah. It's basically these things. Fill fixed for the content itself for the tutorial frame. Like you have like basically quick access to this. That makes sense, you know. But along the way of the same thing, the current size is 151. You don't know that if you do 50%, you should have like 50% off 151. I didn't press percent. Like there is so much thing that can work. Like you can do divided by 2 right here, and it should just give you the value. You have like the ability to do math in there, which is no good but still good. And then let's say I wanted like a fill color, and you don't want to bother, you can type red directly in the input, and you have something that is red. You want something that is pink, and you type pink, and you have something that is pink. All of the CSS code thing that are available, like the CSS colors, are available directly in the Figma Picker, which is something that most people don't know about. My favorite thing, which I talk about all the time, is you know that the thing that you want is a repeating element. So let's say you wanted something that is black, type 0, you press enter, it's going to be black. You want something that has like a repeating, like 1B, 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 for example, you just type 1B once and then you press enter and it's going to be 1B, 1B, 1B. And then the last one is if you know that you have something that is repeating 3 times, like 00FF AA, you type 0FA, you press enter, you have the thing that is done. That is not something that is taught to anyone, but also, even for the devs, something that sometimes I told that to some of the devs that I worked with, this If I wanted to, I could type in my code 0FA, and 0FA would render that same color in the background. I could like 1B for an Xcode is going to be repeated as the CSS thing. So if you have your background color in CSS and you just type hashtag 1B, it will repeat. Nonetheless, like these are things that are CSS functions that goes back to my initial point that are like native CSS values and CSS behaviors, but no one talks about it. And they took these CSS behavior, but not the rest of the CSS behavior that really works, like flex mode. Like Flexbox should be the default of the layout, but it's not. I don't think HSL here would be a really beneficial thing, to be honest. Like it's fine, but one of the things that I do like though is this. If you have, or you are currently trying to take a color, you can see that my color picker right here is giving me the pixel that I'm currently looking at, but also the X code next to it. And that is because in here, I'm currently in Xcode. If I go into CSS, for example, I'm going to have the value in RGB. If I go into HSL, HSB, I'm going to have the value in HSL. So that thing, which is something that we had before already in the previous version of the color picker or the eyedropper, but still, the last thing, Stony, which is not answering your question, but kind of answering your question indirectly, I would say. It is so frustrating, and it makes no sense to me. Again, I don't understand shit, but it makes no sense to me. Technically speaking, what I'm looking at right now is a Canva, right? So this is basically Chrome, and it's basically a Canva. Therefore, anything that is in there is working with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So you already have, technically speaking, the code to like create this. Like it's created in a code environment and you have access to it. Like it is right there. Like that Canva is right there and the content is right there. But for some reason, exporting the content off, that doesn't work. And I don't know why. And it's bad. But it's already the code, which is what pisses me off the most. It's just like, it's supposed to already be the thing. I am currently on the desktop app, so yes, you can run the console in the desktop app by default. It's just not enabled, but yeah, you can access it, and you can 100% get inside of here and do some console-related stuff. And if you have the knowledge for that, you can create scripts and launch the scripts from there, rather than having plugins. So that's an option. That is an option. Not good, but still an option. Like they have been talking about it, and I've been shitting on Figma. I mean, I've been shitting on Figma for so many years now. Yeah. They have talked about, let me see if I can find them. They have showcased something like this one specifically, where they had like this thing that said you can use the console directly inside of Figma to run something. God dang, that was loud. But yeah, like all of that, like this thing, I've been shitting on this video specifically because in uh, this is true. Thank you. Like the video is 3 minutes and 33 seconds, and the video really start around here, basically. So so that is basically what you can do in there. And in the time that they took to explain what they wanted to do, which is this, like 2 minutes and 26 seconds, I can do the exact same thing on my end with a plugin that exists without having to do and know how the console work. Because all of that kind of makes sense, you know? Like it's okay, it's fine. But if I'm here and I'm like, I need this from this page, I need these icons, I can just use Simulator, which is a plugin, and then I just say, I want this to be like layer type or potentially main component is the same, you know, whatever. I just click select layers. Let's limit that to the root frame so that it's not too much. It's just gonna select everything, and now I have all of my icons selected, and I don't need to do anything else. Like it took me 3 clicks and just knowing which properties I need to check, but that's about it. For this example, which is a good stop right there, they want to check the circular one and the filled one, which by default, from their explanation, they have right about... Can you please show me the fucking layer list? There. They have this. They really have in this something that says icon slash solid slash arrow small left and icon slash outline slash arrows left. So that, I'm just gonna do that here because it kind of makes sense. Not on page 7 because page 7 makes no sense. But if I create a new page and I get an element that I called arrow slash outline, right? That makes sense. And then I'm going to duplicate this one and create solid, you know, just for the sake of getting these right there and on the Canva. And I'm just going to do that and potentially do some outlines, some reorganization for things that don't make sense, whatever, right? These are my layers. And these are my layers. Cool. What they want to do is select layers that contain the word outline, basically. So because we only have 3, I'm just going to reverse that and make that red so that it makes more sense and more visible, right? We know that one of our icon set is this with that outline. So what I do, I launch Simulator. Interesting. I launch Simulator here. And I know that I want the stroke or the stroke color or something. I want everything in the stroke related stuff. And I press enter and I have all of my stuff selected. And I can just take them and move them up so that they are together. That's the first option. The second option, which is much better, is using something that is, I think, built in, which is called sort, and they have like a sort option, but sort it's like a plugin. You just say A to Z or Z to A, and this thing is now sorted. I mean, technically there was one that was selected, and then these are now sorted by all the outlines and all the solids. It's just 3, but you know, that took me like 3 clicks. Again, just selected and then moving on, compared to this whole system of 3 minutes of explaining something that is absolutely useless. There is nothing wrong about flexing JavaScript skills. I agree with Nate. But again, Figma is not a dev tool. Figma is a designer tool. Usually, designers don't know code. Like, there is a very, very, very small set of designers that have the ability to flex their JavaScript skills. So having Figma flex their JavaScript skills for the target audience that don't know what JavaScript is or how to use it, they know what it is, but not how to use it, is the dumbest thing ever. It doesn't work. It's not something that the target audience would do. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, it's that simple, but also, that's the wrong button. The thing that they do is basically this, right? They have something there. Yes. Yes, you can. If I remember correctly, I think you can 100% get in there and then just get the element that is here, which is the 4 toolbar, and just hide that. Yeah. Yeah, the plugin Sorted is free. The plugin Simulator is free. The only time that I would tinker with something is the same thing that happened with you, Stony, last time, which you basically created like a plugin on your own to populate frames with the movie DB posters. You know, because it's easier to do that than doing it manually. And I get that, but that's not tinkering with the console. It's just creating a new tool to help you do the thing that you're trying to do. But yeah, it's just weird. Like, let's say I'm here and I have 24 by 24 elements right there, and I want simulator, and I want to like select the size, anything. Siggy, hi, what got it? Anything on this frame that is 24 by 24, I want to select that. I pressed one button, and now I have everything on this frame that is 24 by 24 that is selected. Like, it's that easy. It is that easy. And if I had something like, let's say I don't want the header, and I'm going to answer your question in a second. I know that I just want the arrows here, for example, right? I can, let's say it's not supposed to be called arrows, but it's supposed to be called something different. I can just do Command R to rename and say anything that is arrows, as you can see, it's removed around here, it's going to be replaced by arrows with one R instead. And then, you know, that's done. That's it. If I didn't want to have anything, I could. And that's an option. Like, it's just that simple. And most of the things that they have showcased, this person specifically, of flexing JavaScript skills in Figma, have been things for which there is a plugin already, or there is a native function that just do the work. Like, the main thing that I showcased last week is this button right there, which does collapse layers. Alt L on my keyboard, collapse layers. Like, that's something that has been explained since the beginning of Figma. That, you know, if you have the shortcuts, that Alt L's collapse layers. And if you are inside of something, right, and you have like way more selection, but I'm selecting all of that, and I'm deep diving into something, I'm in there, and I just do Alt L, I'm going to collapse everything except the one that I am working on so that I have less noise around. If I have nothing selected in Alt L, I'm just collapsing everything. It just makes so much sense. Anyways, how did I do my background? Which one? The logo or the wavy things? If it's the wavy things, that's a bit of a tricky one, but yeah, it's an option. I can answer that. I don't think we have much. I think it's gonna be. I was about to say more visible here, but that's not the truth. You know, that's not gonna work. Mm. I think it's more visible here. Both? Cool. So the logo itself is rotating. It's basically a scroll transition. So that thing here, which is the logo, which is somewhere around here, has a filter, and that filter is basically a scroll filter. So it goes through at 80 pixel per whatever seconds it is. So if I just disable it, it's just a static element. And because it's a looping scroll, it's just gonna rotate and continue to happen. So that's the base. The background itself is a combination of many layers, where we have basically the noise, which you can't necessarily see. There is the gradient, and there is the background that has like a bit of an effect. So the Aurora JS, like it's a JavaScript animated background thing that cycle colors, and then the background white is the lines themselves that have like a bit of a filter to them. But yeah, that whole thing is supposed to be this, and that here I think if I do that, not even. Oh, that's probably what I did. Yep. It has like a blending mode. It's supposed to be like this. I mean, supposed to. But yeah. That works as well. I do like it like this, but it's just, it feels out of place now. So just by having it multiplying with the lines, we are getting this kind of weird effect. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. I want something that lets me draw on screenshot and on a virtual layer. I can endlessly cycle to a new kind of app. You mean the thing that Discord has added? Right? Like the remix thingy. Like if you do that and you say you want to edit the image or you want to restyle whatever, you know, that that's what you say. I think it's better on mobile than on desktop, to be honest. Um, but yeah, otherwise, the other thing is you want this, like that native macOS feature of being able to, you know, move things around, sign a document with your signature right there. I see. So you basically want to have the system of layers. Um, yeah. So you want to be able to do. I don't think I have that here. Let's use that. That's gonna be fun. You want this to have the ability to get in and then add some things around here. And if I remember correctly, I'm not sure. If I remember correctly, if this is saved, the element itself is still like in there. And so if I kill that, then reopen it, that element right there, if I go back into edit mode, it should be like an option to grab or use, but it depends. Right now, it's not the case. I see. So you basically want what I just explained. Yes. Um, also, Chris, hi, work on it. That's interesting. That's not a bad idea or bad concept overall. I feel like I wish I could have access to like all the stuff. Like resets, the history of this. I don't think I can. Like edit history of things. Mm. Mm. I don't know if it's that useful. I don't know. I don't see why not, right? I don't see why not have the option to get like an edit layer on top of an image. It's ba it's basically Portal. I'm saying Portal, you don't know what I'm talking about. It is basically what we talked about right about Friday, not Friday, this one. So Heather, I don't know their name. They have created Portal, which is here, which basically gives you a layer of something where the element is going to be sent to when you navigate to a new page. I know it's a bit of a different thing, but basically the top layer, which is invisible and transparent, is where the elements needs to go, which is basically z-index navigation, but because it's already there, the transition works. So what you want is a layer that is that z-index on top that can be moved. So yeah, I fear what it is a layered PNG, and I don't know if that's an option. Um, that would imply that you need to save the image in a very specific format to basically have your initial image at the bottom, and then your secondary edit, write, um, scribbles on a secondary layer that is transparent. Um, but that's basically how I would see it work. Why are you so quiet? Like I would do that. Not that. I would I would do this. I would have my image. Um, no, not that. Sorry. That's my image. And then on top of that, I would have my layer of transparency. So I'm going to use that with a very basic fill white 20% because it makes sense. Um, that's basically how I see it. You have like your layer of activity, and that should um you know give you enough thing. So you have your screenshot that will be intact underneath, and your layer of scribbles that is set above. So yeah. I want to have a map where I dump a bunch of screenshots, files and code. Each of them has an infinite amount of overlaying canvases. Cycle through whatever that is. Yeah, so you basically want a layer list navigation tool. If you want each layer to have their history, that's gonna be heavy in terms of memory, probably. But I guess what Chris just said, a transparent Canva with the draw tool would be good. However, I think the link with your files is going to be the most complicated things. Mainly because it's just like more complex. You would have like all of your layers with all of your, well, layers and edits and the things with all of the story for each. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I know you basically want to be able to say, well, right now the one that is currently visible and on top is this one, but we still have these two that are still in the history. So right now I'm just seeing this one. That's not the one that I want, so I want to be able to swap which layer is currently visible. I get that. I mean, you basically want to procreate for your computer, as far as I understand. So yeah, it's just like tabs with the same background. So the system works, right? There is no real question in there. The system really works. But no, I think you could. I think you could. I think the only thing that would be kind of complicated is the ask just above, which is dumping all the screenshots and files inside of a folder And these screenshots and files remaining screenshots and files and not app-related screenshots, like not a specific format that has and hold um, the layers, like the link in between the initial element, the items, and the top layer of edits. That's the potential thing that might not take 10 minutes. Yeah, it's behind the transparent Canva, but it needs to be linked to the proper layers that goes with that file without basically linking that file specifically. Um, that makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, to me, that's basically the system. You have, this is your image and everything works. And then that's your DOM, at least from my point of view. Um, yeah, I mean, to me, the main issue is the layers, the layer hosting. Like, they, without having like a dedicated file format, if it's an app, um, I mean, it seems like a non-issue for you, but it kind of is for me. Um, mm, but then again, I don't like. You really want to scribble on top of your screenshots from your phone? Hmm. I mean, Canva is what I'm currently using on Figma, so it's not that intensive. If it's just like 3 layers on top of each other, should be fine. From my point of view, again, still, I don't know. But you know. But yeah, it's kind of similar to this one. Portal is kind of, I mean, to me. Um, sorry, just saw something. Um, that transition is really shit, though. uh, like, it's weird. I kind of understand it, but the content moves in both directions without really working. Like, they need to reorder the same thing properly. Uh, nonetheless. Even if you allow the overlay on top of your existing whatever browser, there's normally click a button to use a static image when saving or something like that. Chris, I think you're forgetting something. with the static image. Um, but yeah, again, I don't think I understand fully what Stony is trying to achieve. So let's make two of us. But it doesn't seem that complicated. I would say that that seems pretty simple overall, and it's basically like a duplicate of Procreate, where you basically have your initial background frame, which is your images, your screenshots, and then you can have um, other things on top with a scribble layer, right? But yeah. If it's in the browser, that's the only thing that I have a bit of an issue with. If it's not in the browser, it's gonna need like a dedicated file format to store the relationship if it needs to be available offline in something. But because you want to use it and potentially do that through or from your phone on your couch, which first of all is weird, but fine. uh, I don't know how much like link would be. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. But I know you have more knowledge than me on this department, so I will trust that. Yeah, no, I mean, not necessarily just for Stony. I think, like, overall, I don't think Stony has had as much as a successful outcomes with AIs in general. So, you know. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Look at this. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? That could be made in Figma. Again, like, I've been working on a presentation for something, which Kat is aware of it, but none of you is for now. That's not a disclosed thing just yet. But I've been working on this presentation today a bit, and in the presentation, I'm talking about potentially fixing an issue in a product. I'm staying vague. It took me less time today to build the thing that I'm talking about in the presentation with tray and cursor than to do the presentation itself, like the slides and things. So that's an option as well. Why am I so tired? I don't know. I kind of know. I'm so tired. But yeah, like that was kind of fun for me to go through Tray and then just work with it. The issue with Tray is that I talked about it last time. We talked about it. It's pretty nice. It's interesting. It kind of works. But it overall now with the new version, the new implementation that they have, the builder is still free. So you still have access to Claude for free. It's just so slow. Like everything is extremely slow, and they don't really like work as well as you wanted it to work. So it's a bit of an annoyance. Um, and yeah, it's way less optimized than it used to be. So the builder is really annoying. The um, the MCP layer is interesting as well, but uh, eh, you know, though this is pretty cool nonetheless. Um, it's a bit easier. Um, Iconoclastic. That's a very interesting name. Interesting name. Iconoclast is a really non-common word. Welcome on in. How are you? Who are you? How did you find the stream? Thanks a lot for chatting. Um, I would say for now, Cursor is the best. Windsurf is pretty right behind, and Tray is free. that's that's about it. What do you mean you've been following for the past 16 years and you haven't chatted still? God damn it. That's your first message. That's your first message. Oh, god damn. Lone Traveler, have a good rest of your day. Thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's. Look at it. Look at it. God damn. I appreciate it. uh, yes, you have. Yes, you have. That is impressive. That is impressive. You're not the first one to have like a similar experience. But yeah, I'm impressed. Welcome on in. Sorry to put you in the spotlight right now. That's crazy. That is crazy. However, one of the good things is that the follow age command is now fixed. And it works much better than before. But yeah, no, that's the sad thing about Trade today. The update kind of broke stuff. And yeah. Um it is. Stony, you have access to the mode view, right? Yeah. But even if you raided and said something with a raid, you still count as has been there. Like your flag is still flagged as you've been here before. But if you've been here for 3 years, that means basically 2022, which means here. Like this room specifically. Uh, yeah. So interesting. Interesting. I mean, February 2022 is like basically before I moved to Japan and then came back here. So that's crazy. That is crazy. And yeah, uh, that's mod view from Stony, and yeah, that's the first message. I mean, impressive. Good job. Good job. I am speechless. Speechless is the word. GD, hi, what about it? Um, yes, it is. It is weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. My hair is so flat now. Like it doesn't have the regular amount of hold, and it's also straight. It's that weird. The AI for Figma is not that good. It's okay, but it's pretty good. What did you do with it? Oh, you're not talking about the built-in. The built-in has been released yesterday at the beginning of the week, basically. They announced it and now it's available. You can generate some screens and things inside of Figma. There isn't really any other UI generation AI that is really good. Like the Figma AI is the one that we are talking about. Galileo is shit. Creately is another tool. Visibly, Motif are other tools as well. UIZard is a tool on its own. Figure is potentially the one that you're talking about. And these other two don't really, I mean, they're okay. But, you know. Yeah. That's about that. That's about it. But Figure is really weird as well. I mean, it's not, it's good, but it's not that good. The last one is basically having MCPs. So what Chris was asking earlier, why do we need an MCP since we have APIs? I wouldn't be able to give you like an answer, but I think an MCP layer is getting more context from different entry points in a way that is more accessible to regular users rather than APIs. I feel like API endpoints are going to be the same thing or similar things. But yeah. Nonetheless, similar thing. There is like Manus that is an option. This one that basically had like a bit of a presentation for productivity in design and other things, but also, yeah, that's more for a weird thing. So that's the only, at least from my point of view, that's the only set of AI generation that I know. So, for Figma, let me just align that. Yeah, I don't know. There is the, however, there is the one that has been hinted at last week, or this week technically, which is, we passed it earlier, which is this one. This one seems to be pretty impressive. apparently these are one shot, like off the prompt, and that's the output that they have. If that's the one that you're talking about, this might be the one. It seems really good on paper, and I mean on Twitter. But yeah, um, I don't know how good it is. That's the thing. I didn't have access to it. I requested early access earlier, and still doesn't have access to it. But yeah, that's the only one that I know of that is like really potentially good. Um, but it's still like the same thing. It's basically on that post where that person just said this is really much the same design, like both of these things are the same thing. I kind of agree with that. Like they are still the same thing. It's crazy. But yeah, that might be the one. Might be the one. Nonetheless, there will be a point where we would have like a good AI assistant type for design, and that would help. But for now, that's not the case. Like most of the thing that we have is really, really bad. It's really bad. Sorry, I'm looking at this again. Um, it's not dark enough, the dots that I did. Mm. Mm. Good morning, Danny. How are you? How's everything? Oh yeah, that happens. That's true. This was March 13. Good. I feel like I'm very, very slow right now. I'm really sad about it. It's not true, but yeah. Um, 3D back massage? I don't know these. I don't know these. Good. Most things, like the instant you become more accustomed, used to the tool that you're using on the daily, um, the faster it is. And specifically, if you're working for the same company and the thing that you were working on is for the same company, you kind of know the design system, the design language, the overall like structure of pages, and therefore it is easier. Like the reason why I am fast in Figma overall when I'm really working on stuff is because I know what I'm doing and what I need to do in specific environment. So if I'm like building something for Can, I I know what to do in there. I kind of understand what are the layouts, what are the things, how things should work, Um, and eh, it's fast. Yeah, exactly. Does the dyslexic font really help you? Because it doesn't work for me, the bionic reading thing, if that's the one that you're talking about, or if it's something different, as in the real dyslexic font, the one that had like a bit of a taper to it. I tried it and it still doesn't work for me. It makes it harder. because my brain's not used to it. So that's yeah, that's a thing as well. God damn. Did you fly already, Denny? I forgot. I thought you said you were flying soon, but yeah. Um, Interesting. Um, I mean, I'm a slow reader because I have dyslexia, but I also don't have. I have a weird thing. We talked about it before. Reading on my computer is complicated. Reading a book is complicated. Reading on my phone is fine. It makes no sense. The same article, the same font, the same content. I can read them on my phone. There is no issues. Like I read way faster on my phone. But if it's not, I just can't read. So, that's the thing. Maybe. The thing is, when I used to read stuff like here, for example, which we didn't take a look at, but it's much better than usual, or much better than before. You still have like the non-ending punctuation, as I said, but it's better than earlier. I appreciate it. And both of them are the same. So that's good. Much better. It is much better. I'm gonna say that. I wouldn't read the content, 'cause I'm not a lawyer. But yeah. Might benefit from a bit more padding. Like this one to get like your. Is it this one? Or is it like the inner? No, it is this one. Where's your padding? There. Padding top is 1. Well, you have top and bottom at 8 instead of 4. So this one should be. That's weird. Yeah, I might say that. But it's nothing. Like it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's the same thing, and it's just it contains the text inside, and it's a bit better. That's about it. Overall, it's much better than what we had earlier. So, dang, that's about it. And yeah, I know I should just instead of changing it here, I should change it there, right? The PY8 does work. Well, what's your radius though? What's your radius? Yeah. But P8 exists. That's the. Oh, dang. I see. I see. Yeah, SM rounded, but the SM rounded doesn't really work because you don't have the other one. Small, medium, large. Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's just me checking stuff that don't really exist or need to exist. So that would be the only thing with potentially a bit more radius because, I like more radius stuff. Potentially a bit more spacing, padding around the content kind of helps structure the reading. But other than that, the rest is really good. The hanging punctuation here is making a lot of sense. The hanging punctuation here is making sense to an extent, but yeah, it makes sense. So I'm good with it. I'm fine with it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Chris, by the way, now that I'm back here, I did the preview of this earlier today. This is Pline Hannah, which is the new version of the 2D editor, and it's really good because it gives you the ability to get things in no time. This took me basically a minute to figure out, also because I know how spline work in the beginning, but now I have this. I have a follow cursor, which is the red dot, and I have these squares that are basically following and looking at my cursor wherever it's positioned. On the click, the red follow cursor is just growing, and that took, again, like really took 5 seconds by basically having elements here of follow cursor. Maybe there is a bit of dampening that needs to happen, like maybe I do a dampening of 10, and that now it's following me, but with a delay that takes, again, no time. And this is Hana, which is like the new version of 2D editor for Spline, and it's really good. It's pretty good. We like it. We like it. I wish I could have something that made more sense than this. God damn it. Like that's the stuff that I wish I could edit. Like editing the nodes in there would make a lot more sense. But like it really takes no time. So going back to your question, Chris, from some weeks ago now, what would be good to learn for motion design and making like your overall output of a website from good to great? This is a very good thing that you can implement. It is lightweight and kind of the same as what we need to have. The export is not necessarily what I would see as an option. There is like, it's a bit more complex than what we have in Spline in general, but it's still as easy to get like an embed option through the Spline system, and that kind of works. So yeah, yes. That's a bit brutal and instant of a transition, but it's pretty nice. Um, Readability is good. Accessibility is good. Content is there. IRL stuff is there. That's cute as fuck. We like it. We like it. Yeah, no, it works. Nothing to say there. Just dang. just dang. Ensure that it's responsive. Not mobile style, but just make sure that the elements are like 100% of their container, and the container is resizing at least. At least a little. Like, it's already resizing when you have the ability to, but it it needs to happen before. But you know, that's nice. It is nice. It works. It works. Like, it just does what it needs to do, so no complaint. No complaint on this one. Do you have... Nope, you don't. You don't have a light mode check. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that this existed. And it was like next month. Yeah, I think if you have, like you said that before, you want what, not what, you can navigate to or in the game to be in the same spot with their character, and then just take a screenshot or take a rotating video of like the scene. That could be a really good option to get like a night scene and a day scene and switch between the two. I bet could work and be really cool. The only thing that I don't like is this. That accessibility in terms of, because it's glass, transparent and blurred, you end up with like that dark on dark. And in order to make it readable, you basically need it to get like that highlighted shadow light color, which I hate, but that's fine. I get it. Like, it's not visible anywhere else. It's still there. But yeah, just for accessibility here, you needed to do that. That's bad. That is bad. But I get it. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty good. There is a ton of things that you can do. Like, the thing that you have in content, for example, is interesting and it changes. And you could do that as well on the main page. The more section is interesting because it has like so much images and so much visuals. But yeah, I'd say the only the only thing that I would work on personally is the shadows. The amount of shadows that you have is a lot, first of all, but also it is not so good. So these ones, for example, the edges are a bit sharp, like a bit too strong, a bit too dark for what they are. And then the hover here is weird. The reason why it's weird is because it is a 45, but it has a nice transition in appearance compared to your initial ones. Like these ones are also 45, but reverse, obviously, because it's not like an insert, it's an offset. Morton, hi, walk on in. How are you? But like the transition you have on the content is much better than this one. This one is really, really instant. So I would have similar transition, right? When I'm like zooming in, you really have like that. Nice. You know. It's not much. It's also really weird that if I'm zoomed out and at the right level of distance, it's almost instant, or it feels instant. But it's not. Nonetheless, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I would work on these shadows to be like straight down instead. And again, something that we have done before. This is the dark on dark effect. If you want like an inner shadow, right now it feels like you've done this. It feels like you have simply made the shadow and just made sure that it was like 4:4, that it has like the 45 degrees, which I don't even know if you can see that on stream. It might be a bit too, you know, a bit too dark. Nope. Right. Made sure it's a 4:4. The best thing that I would say is if you do 16 and 0, and you make sure that the blur amount is like 16, and potentially you make a spread at -8, you will get a more subtle overall shadow that works better. The spread is the fourth option in your shadow, and inner shadows also have like a spread in CSS, so that's an option. Nonetheless, if you want your elements to get depressed inside of the screen, the highly recommended thing would be to get either an other inner shadow and making that like white at like whatever percentages needs to be to work with the light mode and to work with the dark mode. So let's say like here it's going to be 8% or something, and making it like -1 and 0 in blur. That basically highlight the edges right here to hint that yes, the entire thing has been depressed inside of the floor, and we know like the distance based on that, but we also know that the whole container is now like we have a bevel on the side. So if you look at your phone, if you look at whatever, a keyboard, if you have a keyboard in front of you and it's like a flat one, you will see that the edges of the hole for the keycaps, for example, is a bit rounded. So there is a teeny tiny amount of roundness around it, which I would say usually goes with something like this, where there's something in the outside that kind of makes sense. This one is put the inner number 2 at -2, so it's still highlighted. And let's do a drop right there at 1. That that detail helps. The border doesn't though. But yeah, you probably get that. That whole thing, getting the highlight kind of helps. You can play with the spread for the highlight, but it's not necessary. It's gonna bite you in the ass more than anything. So that's the option. The other thing that is important is if the floor is going down, it's supposed to be darker than the rest because it is deeper than the content. So if I'm here, right now it's highlighted, so it's as if it was raised, but then it has a shadow that gives me the opposite of what I'm expecting. So that whole thing looks kind of weird. What I would do is basically just darken it. And so instead of doing like a solid color like I did right there, I would do pure black with an opacity. So something like 10%. I mean, usually 10% works, or a bit more if you wanted to. But something like this would work to basically have a transition between this and this, being that this gonna be 0% for the transition to be working, and these are gonna change from 0 to 0, and then that is gonna be to 0% as well. Same thing on this one, 0, 0, 0, 0. So basically, if I create a component set with that, if I'm here and I'm hovering that element, what happened? Did I move it here? That's what happened. I think, yeah. That, let's do Smart Animate with 420 for no reason. Right? The transition, I mean, the transition with the shadows is kind of not the greatest, but it still works. You have like a something that is deferred in, because most of the settings are like there. That makes more sense. At least it makes more sense for me. If you want to keep the 45, which is fine, like that's not, it's bad, but it's fine. You can get that and that. That way you have your 45 transition between the two that highlight both of the corners like this, or both of the sides. It's an option. 45 is okay. It's not the best. The reason why we are saying this, and I'm saying this all the time, the light source is usually where the webcam is, or the center of the screen. So if you had a screen, let's do a regular screen, right? And that screen has a light source, and we want it to be in the center of the screen, somewhere around there, right? That makes sense. We want this to be that big, and we want this to be I'm gonna need 4 and 16. Yeah. So if you have a light source that is where the camera is, and you want it to get 45 degrees, it's going to be 45 degrees around here. So your elements that are going to be impacted, like if you are around here, you would have like the direction of the shadow basically be somewhere around here. Like that kind of makes sense. It goes through with the path of the camera. And you don't want to do that because it basically means that if you have something that is on the other side, you would need the shadow itself. Let's do 0 and 20%. You would need the shadow itself to be like at a different different angle. So the center one, like this, the one that would be around here, these two would make sense center, but the other would need to have like a bit of a different transition and direction for the corners and the things. I don't like this. What we usually do is, instead of doing this, we take a flat approach to this. And so basically we get like a vertical straight line neon light, like monitor highlight shadow, not highlight, but like highlight lamp thing. And we basically say every element is going to have a shadow that is coming from the top and impacting any other things from the top at 90 degrees straight down, because it makes more sense. It's easier to calculate and you don't need to calculate much. So that's the thing. But if you wanted to have like the calculation of where the shadow is, based on the component's position on the screen and based on the screen size and position of the window in the screen, that would be really cool, but also really annoying. So yeah, I usually do every shadow top down because it makes more sense. Getting like the top bar of the screen being the, usually what we say is the URL of, like the URL bar is the neon light that affects the rest. So yeah, I would say everything is straight down would make more sense, or would be more natural. Because if you had, which you did, by the way, didn't you? Yeah, you did. You can see this right here. I mean, you can't see this, but you can see this. The corner that is here, this is such a me thing. The corner that is here, right there, and the corner that is here, right here, they don't have the same color. So because you have your 45 degree, you have a bit of an issue right there, which shouldn't happen because that's the edge of the screen. But yes, this is like me zooming in, so you shouldn't really pay attention to that. I agree. But yeah, that's something that will happen everywhere. It's not good. It's not good. But yeah, that would imply that this one also is vertical, which will make it less visible. So I get it. Nonetheless, good. Nonetheless, good. The rest of the things are really good. The content is working. Um, all of that. This is crazy. I think I would still keep what I said last time, which is um, this view with like 1, 2, 3 is for things that are similar is kind of better than 1, 2, 3, mainly because you have the space. So having like main channel, 6 star, live streams in one row for YouTube related stuff, and then all the other things would make more sense to me. But that's me. So if the person that you're building the website for like it better like this, then do they? Like that's just the me thing. Just me. God damn. Yawning when you're drinking is not a good idea. Not a good idea. Damn. See, these ones, you're raising them when you're hovering. And when you're clicking on it, it's going down. So there is so much thing that would make more sense. Um, but I get it. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that as because you're raising them on hover and not raising them on click, which makes sense. Like you have the button that comes to you and then you press it, then it's pressed. That's good. But the overall behavior is wrong. Like for me, I would have, let's say they are like 100 by 100, makes more sense. You would have default, which is like, I'm not doing anything. That's the same color as the background. I'm going to add a stroke so that it's visible. And then I'm hovering it. So because I'm hovering, it's raised from the floor, so it's a bit lighter. And then I'm clicking on it, and therefore it's a bit darker than the floor. Not by much, but a tad. And so on hover, we just remove that. Put that in white at 4%. What I say, white, 4%. This one would have a shadow, and this one would have an inner shadow. So by default, that's what I would do without doing anything. We just have default not raised, on hover, kind of raised from the floor, and then on click, recessed. Based on what I'm seeing on stream, it's really, really not visible. It's really bad. But yeah, that's the concept. If I wanted to be a bitch, which, you know, I always want to, but I would just do 104 for raised because it's closer to me. And, you know, that's the thing. Which would mean, again, if I'm putting back something in the center, Like if I had this, and then it's right there, it would be a tad bigger. But this one is 55, this one is 57, and then this one is supposed to be the same. Technically supposed to be smaller, but because it is deep, the hole itself is the same size as this one. So, do not change. It's such a small difference. It doesn't make any difference. Like, it's not as drastic as doing this, because that makes no sense. But yeah. Yes, squares. Yeah, basically scale the whole button. The I don't think I can show you that. Nox.
Nox_Fox3 is now following.
Welcome on in. How are you? Who are you? How did you find the stream? Thanks a lot for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome on in. You know. Why is that this? No, I don't need UI. I do not. But sometimes it's useful, you know. So when I'm here and I'm hovering, it's gonna raise, and if I'm clicking and pressing, it's gonna be right there. However, if I'm there and I click, I go back here. That's the base, that's the ID, that's the concept. It should make sense. And this is broken. I usually go for 0.21, 0.42, and 0.69 for many reasons. But yeah. Usually that's what happens. So right now, for example, they are 0.42. I haven't done anything to, God damn it, that's the wrong button. I haven't done anything to the, to the shadows. They are the base shadows. A spring is not good to me. Specifically when you have like plenty of these. Sorry. You saw nothing. Bitch, what I say. Dang. Oh, that's gonna be wrong. But yeah. That makes more sense to me. Eh. Details. I guess. The thing is, spring is really bad. Like, a quick springs is already 600 millisecond, which is really big. Ugh. You know, I don't like it. I don't like it. The thing is, 120/20 with the time as how much do you want? 210? That doesn't work. That's the thing. Like it's basically an ease in and out at this point. Sorry. Yeah, nah. I don't like springs in general. They don't make sense. Specifically for these. Like a very simple ease in and out of 210 is gonna give you much more natural raise from the floor, at least. You know, details. But yeah, that's the only thing that I would change, kind of on here. Like that's a lot of images. Having them raise a tad would be amazing. You can fake the scale by adding the border. The border is not visible, but it's visible when you are hovering. So your element is already basically scaling up by adding the border. If you added a border, as in a 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 4 pixel white back border with like 0.1% opacity, it would push the shadow outside. So that would make it bigger without really influencing the size itself, like the initial size. Not that it changes much, but it's still something. Nonetheless, really cool. But yeah, no, like, that's good, and that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. It's it's not much, but I like that a lot. I don't know about this one though. I like this one because it's going through that. But yeah. God damn, my old ass. So tired. So tired. Yeah, consistency would be good. Consistency here would be good as well. Um, is that a question? I don't know. You said you said I'm putting blank background for title categories. Oh, there. Sorry, I didn't read title. I read tile. My bad. That's on me. Yes, that's good. The black background will help for readability and accessibility as well. So you have more contrast between it and the background. That's the goal, which will imply that if you have something that is a bit light at some point, it will still be readable. So yes, that's an option. It's a good option. Best option would be to have something that is not programmatic, and like you have a cover image and the cover image has been made and that's it. So something like that, for example, like that's built in the image itself and it makes sense, like the chaos here or the wanted here, these are built in. So something like this could work, but also it's annoying to create. So programmatic banners is an option. And it works. And it works. Holy shit. Oh, why am I so dead? So dead. Sorry. Yes. Yes, Chris, hi. Good morning. Good day. How is you? Oh. Yep, I hate it. That's a lot of games, though. That is a lot of game. What? How many days is that? How many years is that? I mean, the difference in between GTA and Noita being the second most played thing with 464 hours when GTA has 12,000 hours more than this one. That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, but if you are a speedrunner, aren't you supposed to spend the least amount of time on the game and speedrun the things? You know, go fast. Not spend 12,000 hours. That's 17 months. 17 months without sleep. God damn. Do you know how to raise the green alpha mask in the new Figma UI? If I use a rectangle as the mask, it appears as a green border. I can't find how to erase it. I don't know about that. If I use a rectangle as a mask, so you're saying that if I'm here and I'm using that under everything and I'm getting that as a mask, you say it's getting like a green overlay? It's not. I mean, not for me. It is inside of a frame already. I know that the background doesn't really look like it, but we are inside of a frame. And if I were to frame all of these together, it doesn't have a border nor a green thing. Have you tried relaunching Figma? Have you tried right-clicking reload tab on the tab that has the issue? And have you tried removing the mask and creating a new one? These are my recommendations. Because the thing that you're describing, I don't have. So yeah. But you know that thing doesn't really, I mean, doesn't really exist. I don't know about it. Might exist, just I don't know. My inside? Yeah. I really think what you said earlier would be the greatest option. Having a dark mode being just a night mode, night theme in the background would be pretty impressive. That would really be daytime, nighttime, light mode, like day mode, night mode type of thing. Would be pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, other than that, not much. I wanted to share that though. That, I guess if I just look for spline, it's gonna be better, much faster. So this is what spline has been releasing today, and it's pretty good. It has all of the transition thing that we want to have. It's better in terms of ease of understanding than Rive for me. So, Chris, if you want Shantaro to learn something, that's a good option, really good option. It will give you the ability to understand flat and the ability to understand 3D, because once you understand the flat version, the 3D side of the tool is kind of the same UI. And if you learn the 3D already, the flat version of the website is the same. So that's a good competitor to Rive, and it's nice. And I understand it, so I can help. Which, could be useful. But yeah, that's basically what popped in. It takes no time, it works, and yeah. Not wrong, Chris, but like, Chris is there above, just lurking. Or sleeping, I don't know. Depends on the time. Oh god damn. I'm gonna go sleep soon. God. Am I so tired? That's the wrong Chris, yes, but yes. Different Chris. Yeah. I mean, there is Chris, and then there is Chris, you. Which you are orange Chris on this side, but you are green Chris on this side, and you are blue Chris here, if I remember correctly. You're usually blue around here, so that's really interesting. Haven't defined like a specific colors, nonetheless. That works. What I'm thinking about, personally speaking, is that there will be a time where Spline 3D is going to be integrated with Spline Flat. And so you would have the ability to launch or use one of your 2D thing as a background for 3D elements on top. Something similar to this thing here, that could be like a 3D element glass on top of content, but this highlight could be flat in 2D. So, interesting. Nonetheless, this is really good. I don't know if I will chop up like the beginning of the stream with something about Spline 2D, but it's really nice. It works, it makes sense, and all of that. All of that. That's crazy. Holy fuck. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm gonna send you to Clark, I guess. I guess Clark is gonna be pretty good for Friday.
Jan Lunge
Yeah.
just resubscribed for 14 months.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks a lot for the resub. You arrive when I'm dying. I've been yawning for the past hour, basically. It's crazy. Welcome on in. I'm about to raid someone, yes. I'm looking for someone to raid, and I think I'm gonna raid Clark. just because it makes sense and it's easier. He's live on Fridays. It makes sense. You know, the usual thing. God damn, am I so tired? It's weird. I mean, you're early enough for the raid, yes. Like I'm pressing the button right now. So you know, that's the thing. I'm so dead. I am so dead. It's kind of fun. Anyways, as always, the VOD is going to be on YouTube. And if you have a question and I'm not live, which is the case, join the Discord. You can also stalk me online. That's an option. And I shall be back on Monday if all goes well. There might be some things to talk about. Nonetheless, join the Patreon if you want access to the Figma Bootcamp in early access and the files. Download Can if you want to learn Japanese, and then buy something from me there, because that's the only place that you can buy something from me for now. You know, all that. Also, if you're in China, which I don't think you're watching Twitch if you're in China, but if you are in some of the Asian countries that have been listed on the iOS store for me to give you like a bit of a discount, you now have a massive discount on Can, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nonetheless, as always, take care of yourself, eat something, drink something, be kind to each other. You know the drill. And I'll see you all next week on Monday. Bye. Also, Stony, you won. Good job.